we have to talk about the feud of the decade, JJ Redick and Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers said, when asked about the road trip that included going from Dallas to Utah, that it was one of the hardest road trips ever put together, and that the person who made the schedule, quote, must have never been on an airplane. He said, I already know when people looked at that schedule before the season, they were like, end of a road trip, back-to-back in Utah. JJ Redick went on national television on the Talking Heads Giving Hot Takes show and said that he does not think that Doc Rivers takes accountability or is accountable. And which I know people who like Doc Rivers who I think would agree with that. I mean, he's got like a highlight reel of some of the funniest accountability dodges you'll ever hear a head coach do. But some people took offense, including Austin Rivers, Doc Rivers' son, and Pat Bev, who leapt to Doc Rivers' defense. Tyler, how did you end up feeling about Doc and JJ and all of this? And I'll promise you this, Tyler. If anyone ever says that you are not accountable on national TV, I will find you two better people to defend you than fucking Pat Bev and Austin Rivers. I promise you that.
Dog, that shit was just like a fucking Royal Rumble of fucking, Doc Rivers criticism. Like, we had Spencer Hawes chime in. We had Marcin Gortat chime in. Basically, after JJ said that, Pat Bev, who's going to bat for his new coach, which is what you would want from a guy, right? Like,
sure.
I'm not holding that against Pat Bev. He's someone who that's his appeal, and I think he knows that's where he makes his money, is he's someone who will get in the trenches and mix it up when no one else will, when it's above other people. Jonez isn't going to hop out there and get into a fucking, Twitter debate with JJ. So, he's earning his keep, right? Like, and I ain't mad at him because he's someone who had to do the little things like that to kind of stay around, right?
It's also a 2-for-1 for Pat Bev because he has the new player with that reputation.
And their time with the Sixers together as well. Yeah.
Yes, but he's also a podcaster who
content, right?
ABC
always be content,
we're gonna end up, I think, agreeing with JJ Redick, obviously, but like the best thing for the numbers of the show would be for us to say something that allowed our lovely and talented producers to clip out Jenkins and Jones blasts JJ Redick for Doc Rivers comments, which is what Pat Bev leaned into and achieved, because we're talking about Pat Bev now. So salute to that man, I guess.
Yeah. And basically, all the defense for Pat, for Doc Rivers, it was just, they weren't refuting JJ's points. They were just, Pat came at him basically saying, you ungrateful. He's the only one who gave you a shot when no one else in the league wanted to pay you and blah, 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 which JJ refuted, came with the receipts. And then, you had Austin Rivers, who's like, your best years were under Doc. This is just completely ungrateful. Like, that was his whole point. No one was speaking to the facts of what he said about how Doc Rivers is just a fucking infamous accountability dodger. We all know that, right? So that was what was interesting to me about that. And then it kind of scaled into a whole bigger discussion that JJ took on the next day on First Take about, the NBA discourse. If y'all want to hop into that,
we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just want to drill in on why can't you just say he's won a championship? I think he's a great coach, and leave it at that. Like you said, no one refuted JJ's argument at all. And there's been so much conversation around it, but I haven't seen anyone say, no, actually, like, that would have been a real defense. No. Like, in a meeting after this game, Doc came and said, hey, I didn't do a good enough job of this, whatever. Instead, it just surfaced the receipts of, there's the 76ers loss, which was like a super comical like string of excuses. And it's like, yeah, man, like, that's, him going, no one gave me credit for going up 3-1 in a series that we ended up blowing.
The worst. They could not dig in the crates. And they couldn't dig in the crates and find any film from this dude just taking accountability after us. What we did find, though, was a clip of him last year in 2023 talking about the 2003 lead that he blew with the Orlando Magic. We found him retconning throwing people under the bus from 20 years ago. We found that where he was just completely off base too, where he was like, we lost to the Pistons. What do you want us to do? They won a championship that year. They did not win the championship that year. It was 03,
no one gives
motherfucker.
me credit for going up 3-1 against the eventual champions.
And they were not the eventual champs. That's the thing. 2003, the fucking Spurs won. Right, the Spurs won in 2003, bro. The Pistons won 2004. The Pistons team that beat your ass, Doc, was not the same championship caliber Pistons team because we all know, we were there. What made that Pistons team a championship contender and an eventual championship team was the acquiring of Rasheed Wallace in 2004. He was not there in 2003, bro. So yeah, man. I mean, not only was he throwing people under the bus, for some shit they did 20 years ago, he was lying like a motherfucker too. Like, God damn, dude.
Is this the first time somebody's brought this up publicly? Because I feel like we've been talking about this like the entirety of the podcast existence. Every time we bring up Doc Rivers talking about how he's not taking accountability, why is there such a huge reaction to this? As if like the entire NBA, world doesn't look at him in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, so is this the first time it's brought up on like a talking head public show? And I'm surprised that that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen someone who played for him.
I think that's the difference. That is someone who played for him.
Who played for him and was successful under him. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Pat Bev or Austin Rivers. Like JJ Redick owes the end of his career to Doc. I don't agree with that. But he was successful under him. So like, I think that's the thing. And I think JJ is sort of the he's sort of like money laundering this like widely held opinion into the like top level sphere of consciousness of like a talking head show and a dude of his stature saying it. I think that's kind of what the difference is. But yeah, man, like, and it's not just us. It's not just talking heads. I mean, like you said, there's plenty of people in the NBA who feel the same way about Doc. He's just a very like well-respected guy for whatever reason. I mean, agree, disagree. Everyone who is around him generally says he's a good person. I'm not taking anything away from that. But like, yeah, this is not like this should not be a shocking thing. I think it's more of a like, hey, everyone knows this. Everyone knows your aunt is crazy, but we don't fucking talk about your aunt being crazy. Like, that's what it feels like to me.
Who said it, where they said it. That's basically what caused the issue. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's indisputable.
Yeah. JJ Redick, who truly hates, I think, to his core being caught up in this kind of narrativizing of the NBA. Like, I think it actually like physically bothers him to like, be in the center of a content storm. Then had a quote where he said on First Take, I can do a video on my podcast where I break down the last 9 games the Pelicans have used Zion Williamson as the primary ball handler. 54,000 views on YouTube. But I want to call out a coach yesterday. Oh, that gets tens of millions of engagements. That's the ecosystem we live in. So do fans actually want to be educated or not? No. I venture not.
No. We ain't in school. This is entertainment, motherfucker.
Yeah, we are here for the mess, bro. Why do you think we do? Why you think we doing Love Is Blind recap episodes? We like drama, motherfucker. But but no, I see the larger point that JJ was getting at. Saying that the discourse around basketball is toxic, and yeah, that's the case. That is the case. But I mean, I just don't think that you can. I feel like there's just so many extremes on here. I feel like people think that people just want either informative coverage or entertaining coverage. I think people like a healthy mix of both, right? I think it's heavier leaning on the entertainment side, of course. But I'm just of the belief that, bro, if you want, deep dive analytical film breakdown shit, there's so much out here for you. There's so much out here for you. You're not going to find it on ESPN on First Take. Of course not. But there's so much out here if you're really, someone who likes to get in the trenches and likes that shit. There's the Low Post, there's the Dunker Spot with Nikias and Steve Jones. Like, they do incredible work, bro. It's so much stuff out here for you to find if you want, that type of stuff. And if you want to hear the silly shit, like the drama and cracking jokes, you got shit like us and plenty of other podcasts.
And First Take.
Yeah, and
featuring JJ
Redick. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think there needs to be this civil war between the silly billies and the calculator pushers on this shit. There's enough for everybody here, bro.
Talking heads are made for the masses. You know what I'm saying? Those shows are made for the masses. People will watch SportsCenter that don't watch sports. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what First Take is. You know what I mean? Like when you break shit down, it's for the nerds. That's a smaller percentage. You know, that's why you get smaller views. You know what I mean? So it's just what it is. And I think it's always been that way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's media as a whole. That's not basketball. Yeah, I mean, there's more of a soap opera in basketball than maybe another sport, but I don't think basketball in particular is that way when referring to what he's talking about. So yeah.
It's just it's not necessarily an indictment on sports fans. Like that's just how people are, bro. There's a reason. There's a reason why the number one song on the Billboard Top 40 is going to be some lighthearted, hey, let's party and get drunk type shit instead of some heavy, deep, thought-provoking shit most of the time, right? Like that's just the way the people are. Like, people kind of prefer the fluff and the entertaining shit, bro.
There's a reason why Sky Zoo is not the best rapper in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that motherfucker can rap his ass off.
He can rap his ass off, but like, dog, nobody's trying. Not a lot of people are trying to hear that. You feel me?
Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet.
Bron and the Lakers are looking a little better, so I'm excited to see how they do coming out of All-Star break with some big games against the Warriors and the Suns coming up.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Jenkins. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Jenkins, Jenkins. The crown is yours.